Okay, this is bounding into comics. I've used articles of theirs in the past. They're probably one of the few publications that have any pushback against this feminist narrative. Yet, because they're right wing, they're anti male, and sometimes they give into the feminist frame. Here's a perfect example. Naomi Harris's Me Too story can't be trusted. And that sucks. Really, it sucks. It sucks that this criminal Me Too doesn't work on guys. These false accusations, that's what Me Too is. So what they're saying is they're actually in support of Me Too. They're just not in support of it when it affects guys they like. They're going to make this left-right politics. Now, actress Naomi Harris recently dropped a bombshell story in You magazine that detailed what is, by all accounts, sexual assault by a Hollywood A-lister during an audition. How's it detailed? She's not going to give any names. So right off the bat, they're wrong. And I disagree. Listen, according to the actress's account, the actor stuck his hand up her skirt while she was in the middle of reading for a part. And neither the casting director nor the director did anything about it. You know what's happened there? The guy did it purposely to startle her while she was reading. It wasn't a sexual assault. It's like giving someone a wet willy in the meat while they're trying to do something. That's what it is. And that's why these guys didn't do anything. She also described a separate incident that recently took place, though she refused to name either perpetrator. Of course. So it's a lie. What it is, these women, people say, try to and make victims out of them, including these right-wing guys. They try to say that these women, they're afraid of losing their careers. These women always turn on these guys when their careers are over. So they're using these men, and then they're going to lie about them later on for fun. She specifically stated, what was so shocking about it was the casting director was there and the director, and of course, no one said anything because he was such a huge star. No, they did it because obviously he was fooling around. That was my only Me Too incident. So I felt very lucky given how rife the behavior was. If the behavior was rife, then why was it her only incident? Of course, because it's not rife. Now things have definitely changed. I was on a project where there was a Me Too incident and there was no hesitation. The perpetrator, nameless of course, was immediately removed, she added. So again, false accusations, it's getting so bad that whatever, you didn't notice she didn't even say what this guy did. No details, not even anything revealed. If this had been revealed 4 years ago, it might have been a bigger ways, but in late 2021, it sounds sketchy at best. And guess what? That sucks. That sucks. Wow. So this criminal hashtag is being shown for what it is. And these guys don't like that. So these right-wingers are for injustice. The reason it sucks is because how we live in an age where rape hoaxes and hate crime hoaxes are skyrocketing. Yeah, of course, that's what Me Too is about. It skyrockets because you can accuse a man, he can receive consequences where the false accuser doesn't. Exclusively because of the incentive structure put in place by social elites and far left government officials. Far left is a term for the far right. The far right uses it. It's basically anyone who isn't far right is far left to them. So again, these right-wingers are trying to blame their left wing for what women do to men. And notice these social elites, the men don't gain anything of it. Harvey Weinstein didn't gain anything from it. So if you ask him, who are these social elites and what's their deal? you'll get a bunch of conspiracy theories. You don't get any names. I've said, well, how about Harvey Weinstein? They say, oh, he's not one of the elites. Okay, then who is then? And how do they gain? By demonizing their own sex, right? They never have a good answer for that. Victimhood culture is a business, and the business is booming. See, and they're using this Dodge term, victimhood culture. It's not victimhood culture. It's women attacking men culture. What this inevitably leads to are more victims, more male victims of actual assault and crime, hate crimes, who are left holding the bag. Is Naomi Harris telling the truth? Of course she isn't. And of course, they believe in the bullshit that women are being assaulted by men. These right-wingers are anti-male. Comedian Bill Burr, oh yeah, our hero, once remarked the believe all women shtick that went viral a ways back, particularly during the Brett Kavanaugh trial. His response was, really all of them? The point he was humorously trying to make is that people lie, men and women, equally. Well, then he is part of the problem because they don't. First, he's humorous turned out to be no weapon at all. These right-wingers, or just men in general, will say humor is the best weapon when it's turned out to be false because they're not willing to stand up for themselves. Also, men aren't making a hashtag to attack women with and lie their asses off of. So men and women don't lie equally. So Burr is one of these, I'm an egalitarian types who stand up for nothing. They're cowards. Bill Burr is a coward. Yet the prevailing narrative is that people who claim to abuse never lie. Not people, women, at any time, and they should be believed without hesitation. Or, as it turns out, evidence. Yeah, no kidding. Of course, that's why he says people, not women, because then he has to stand up. This guy, I don't know if his woman is feminist or not, but he's with a woman, and he's always got to watch his tongue and pretend that there's nothing, no gender dynamics going on here. Bill Burr is a coward. The outcome is what anyone with a properly functioning brain would expect, an increase in rape hoaxes and false reports. Some of these were for the sake of revenge. Exactly. Women just don't like a guy's face, and or he dumped her and now she's going to lie about him. Well, others were politically or financially, sometimes both, motivated. And again, these guys, in bounding, this guy who wrote this article for Bounding in Comics is being cowardly again, saying political. How is it political? Feminist. The following is just a small collection of false rape and sexual accusations issued by women in the recent past. Okay, so they're accusations by women. That's right. That's right. 2 men. So stop using gender neutral terms. Now, you guys can read it for yourself. And this is this thing, this is important, Lena Dunham, because Lena Dunham, they're going to be talking about pedophiles later in this, down further. And Lena Dunham was sexually assaulted her younger sister, her prepubescent sister. And she has received no consequences for it. She didn't have to leave the country. She wasn't jailed. She didn't lose her career. So I want you to remember that when we come to this. Now, this is a small sampling of an extremely large pool of rape hoaxes, which it turns out have gone on for quite a long time at this point. Consider the case of Brett Kavanaugh, who accused several horrific rape crimes, who was accused of it, just as he was about to ascend the Supreme Court. Several accusers came forth, one of which was Julie Swetnick, a serial liar and hoaxer, who was quickly and quietly kicked underneath the sofa by congressional Democrats after it became clear she would become a costly liability. Okay, again, they're trying to make this about Democrats. But they'll later admit that this is feminist, so it's both women against men. That left just one prominent accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, a diehard radical Democrat activist who testified about her supposed ordeal with Kavanaugh, which didn't go particularly well. When pressed, Ford couldn't remember a single snippet of noteworthy information regarding the incident in question, while friends she claimed were witnesses to the event denied having a clue of what she was talking about. Yeah, so Kavanaugh got lucky that he was high status enough, that he was known enough that these women had to show up and prove themselves. And that doesn't help the average guy who just gets accused and then just loses his job, right? And this is another thing. The idea of getting rid of him is to replace him with a feminist woman. So this is not left and right, because a right-wing feminist is a feminist, and she has the same ideals as the left-wing feminist. So this is not anything to do about left-right politics. Now, even Ford's attorney, Deborah Katz, revealed during the speech at University of Baltimore's Feminist Legal Theory Conference that her testimony against Kavanaugh was politically motivated. Yes, it was feminist politically motivated. Saying when he takes a scalpel to the Roe versus Wade, we will know who he is, we know his character, and we know what motivates him. And that is important. It's important that we know, and that is a part of what motivated Christine. So the political motivation was not Democrats versus Republicans. It was women versus men. This right-wingers have proven to be pathetic at doing anything against feminists. We know that right-wingers support male-only draft. So, but even so, this woman, these feminists, they batten down all their hatches. They make sure that there's not even a possibility. But I highly doubt this Kavanaugh guy would have done anything against Roe versus Wade. How bad was Blasey's Ford's testimony, you might ask? It was so bad that Ralph Blasey, the accuser's own father, sided with Kavanaugh on the issue. Yeah, was she jailed over it? This woman who was kicked under the sofa, she didn't suffer any consequences, did she? It's also worth noting that Michael Avenatti was once tapped as the Democratic presidential candidate, stuck his nose into the case in an attempt to railroad Kavanaugh's nomination. He was recently sentenced to prison for attempting to extort millions from Nike, effectively ending his infantile political aspirations. Notice the guys get jailed, don't they? Of course, this is something that is supposedly, it's not necessarily connected, but the point is, anything guys do, they get zapped for. These women aren't, are they? Steering things back to Naomi Harris, yeah, steering it back after they tried and slammed the Democrats, the left and the leftist. It's worth taking a microscope to how the industry has handled the not seemingly, is out of control rape culture and pedophilia. Okay, sorry, there is no rape culture and pedophilia, okay, over the last 5 to 6 decades at the very least, okay? It's not seeming at all. It doesn't exist. Now, this is what I talked about, guys, about the pedophilia, right? Oh, just a minute. I better read this one first. Controversial director Roman Polanski was forced to flee the country after sodomizing a 13-year-old girl. Yet Hollywood elites like Meryl Streep sing praises about him to this very day. That's quite the hypocrisy from a hardline feminist claiming to stand up for women's rights. But these women, okay, I want to bring it up to here again. Lena Dunham, did she have to leave the country? No. Was she jailed? No. Did she lose her job at Saturday Night Live? Did Saturday Night Live kick her out? No. So you notice this is why I am totally against this bullshit talk about pedophilia in particular, because I know it's just there to attack men with. That's it. When women find out to be pedophiles, no one gives a shit. She might have had some nasty words thrown at her, but everything was forgotten. And Meryl Streep just proves that women are about garnering this status. Roman Polanski, he still has status and she still wants to ride that. Women are willing to throw children under the bus for themselves. Then came the much ballyhooed Harvey Weinstein scandal, where hypocritical Hollywood elites and Democrats, again, they're trying to say Democrats, and they hate Hollywood, right? Activists like Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton claim to be the best thing since sliced bread. Meryl Streep even referred to him as God. Harvey Weinstein, he was railroaded. All he did was do what all male and female dynamics are. It's all of one form of prostitution or another. He gave women $1 million careers just for some, one, session on the couch. And he's going to get demonized for that. Yet the moment the public turned on Weinstein en masse, he became the industry's most convenient love-to-hate pariah. Is it any wonder why some are willing to buy into Naomi Harris's accusation so quickly? No. They give into her accusation quickly because men want to believe other men are bad, and they want to attack other men and a woman's word. For one, Harris made a cardinal mistake. She failed to name her accuser. She didn't make a mistake. She did it on purpose. The mistake is if she had actually named someone, and then she would have to face an angry man who might demand that she prove it. That's a major problem for anyone who wants to be taken seriously in an era where Time's Up and Me Too movements are hemorrhaging support, particularly from the feminist side of the aisle. You think the feminists are losing support for Me Too? I don't think so. No. Whoever wrote this article for bounding in the comics is showing his naivete. The notion of the Faustin couch has been around for a very long time in Hollywood, and that's no secret. Affecting actual change means holding perpetrators responsible is something that celebrities seem to have a chronic problem with. There isn't a perpetrator here. This isn't a perpetrator. This is a partnership. This is a woman coming to a man and saying, I will trade you sexual favors. You give me a part. It's prostitution. So there's no perpetrators here. Now, you show Rose Mcgowan. Actress Rose Mcgowan was ripped up and down for dragging certain Hollywood big shots like Weinstein in the spotlight, kicking, screaming the entire way. She's since abandoned the Me Too movement entirely and publicly shamed the Democratic Party, saying she would no longer support them. Yeah, she got her 15 minutes of fame from accusing Weinstein of something she was involved with. And now that's over. So now she's abandoning Me Too. These women have no loyalty to anyone but themselves. And of course, this bounding in the comics is, of course, trying to demonize the Democratic Party with this. She even called out California Governor Gavin Newsom's wife, Jennifer, who supposedly offered her money on behalf of David, I can't say his name, Boys or whatever, Weinstein's attorney, to make the problem go away. Unlike Harris Mcgowan, stuck to her neck out to hold people accountable, and her career will probably suffer as a result. Well, her career was at an end anyway. Gullible writer. That's why she did it. Her career reached, she was on her way out. Younger, new girls, fresh faces were showing up to replace her. I mean, Rose Mcgowan could act, but she's a dime a dozen. So of course her career was ending. Now let's see. And by the way, I mean, if she basically threatened him, and so of course they gave her some go away money. It just wasn't enough. Will Harris take the same risk? No, she's not risking anything. Is she going to be punished for making up the story when she hasn't mentioned any names? No. If not, then why? What is to be gained by sharing a story without a shred of verifiable evidence or a name to go on? It's to demonize men. That's what the gain. Like, you right wingers refuse to know, you don't like what's going on. You just want to attack the left. So you deny the gender dynamics. It just goes to show you this Me Too movement has proven that women do not like men and do not respect men. And they get a kick out of bullying men and abusing them. Notice that Harris refuses to name all the people in the room at the time, which is cause for immediate skepticism. I wouldn't have believed her anyway by now. She's using Me Too. She's a false accuser, period. Anyone can say anything at any time for any reason, particularly if they are prominent figures who could benefit from the exposure. Well, duh, yeah. To the naysayers crying foul right now, I ask, do we really need a crash course in the Jesse Elliott case at this point? The disgraced Empire actor was just found guilty on 5 out of 6 accounts of falsifying hate crime, while the jury has revealed that they withheld finding him guilty on the 6th charge just for sake of doing him a favor, of course. Founding in comics, you realize again, you're showing a guy who suffered consequences. These girls have never suffered any yet. So this case doesn't mean anything, or at least it doesn't mean what you think it means. Guys get punished, the girls don't. So the girls are still incentivized. All this effort just so some LA could cash in and become more famous, hoping they would lead to a larger paycheck. The incentive structure is real. Not real for men. It's real for women. Now, one can only cry wolf so many times before the public takes notice. When victimhood is incentivized by our cultural and governmental institution, the predictable result is bad faith actors and opportunists will come out of the woodwork. That's not to say Naomi Harris's accusation isn't truthful, really, especially even given Hollywood's sickening corruption and total abandonment of basic human morals at this point. The question is, can we trust her? Okay, this guy who wrote this article is anti-male. Any woman who talks like this is lying. And the only incentivization is that men take it. It shows you, again, 2 things: that women disrespect men. They don't like men. They like seeing men suffer. They like bullying men. And the men, they would rather take the abuse than do something about it. That's what's going on here. That there is no structure, or I should say, if you're going to call it a structure, it's human structure, human psychology. That's the structure. The reason the government allows this is because the government is made up of men and women. And this is how men and women think. This sucks because it makes things a lot harder for those who have gone through a trauma or racial hate crimes, rape, and sexual assault. I don't care anymore about women getting assaulted in that, because men are the ones that are suffering from this. This is more, what about the women's? Or ladies, I'm on your side, please. This is pathetic. And actually, it's more pathetic now. It's disgusting. Whoever wrote this article is disgusting. Okay, I don't know how much more I really need to talk about this. Okay, we'll read this one. The gold standard should be trust but verify. But now it's mutated into distrust and verify. Why should it be trust and but verify? Someone makes an accusation, you might look into it, but why would you trust it? And that's a symptom of culture in decline. This is more, the end is coming near, right? This is more like the decline of masculinity and all this horseshit. the culture isn't declining. It's just that the men are being abused. Apparently, you can abuse men forever, infinitum, and the culture will still clicking on. The left have weaponized victimhood. See, he's blaming the left again and create an actual market for it, which is astonishing. This is bullshit. These women, this Me Too was made by a feminist woman, practiced by women. And he's trying to blame the left. There are right-wing feminists, pal, and they love Me Too. Now, for all the talk about capitalism is the greatest evil in America society, these folks sure didn't hesitate to take advantage of it by creating an entirely new product for the populace to consume. Of course, because capitalism doesn't prevent any of this. It's just a tool. This there's nothing special about capitalism. So again, these guys are more of these capitalist versus socialist bullshitters. If Naima Harris's story is true, she should file a police report, have it looked into. Well, duh, that should have been said 5 years ago. Now we have moved beyond that. That's the Me Too hashtag is about avoiding this so the women can make a false accusation. Okay, now I'm going to read all this. I'm not, because these guys, Bounding Me Comics, at least whoever wrote this article, maybe I'll see what his name is. But Slade Hale, yeah, he is an anti-male right-winger. So when the boys posted this in the Pro Male Collective, I just looked at it and thought, oh yeah, it's just going to be a regular Me Too story, right? But once I got reading it, I thought, oh my God. This is why right-wingers are the enemy of man. Because they're not against injustice. They just don't like when their side gets attacked. That's it. That's the end of this.